Good evening, everyone. How are we doing? Lee Romang here from Delkim, doing another Facebook Live every weekday evening at 6:30. We're doing these just to keep the world ticking along. Hope everybody's safe, well, and not got cabin fever. So we're here tonight just to have a general chit chat, about half an hour's worth. And tonight I am going to look at the settings on the RXD digital receiver. Get asked a few things about how to use some of the features and what they are on the receiver. So I'm going to go through that. If you do have any questions, then please post them up and I'll try and work through a few, and we'll see how we get on with that, and happy to answer that. If I don't answer them today, then got the rest of the week to go through it. But yeah, we'll do something. If you haven't been to these before, we've been having a chat for about a week now. So every day, about half an hour, just going through things, new and old. I'm not, this is not about trying to sell you guys anything. This is for you. I've been asked these questions. I will answer and go through anything. We did the old receiver, the RX Plus Pro, yesterday, and so today I ran out of time, so we're going to have a look at the new RXD settings. At least you'll be able to see how they compare and how to get the most out of your receiver. Just before I forget, don't forget to download that app. Okay, this will help. We've got the quick user guides on there, so this will help you understand the quick guides and how they can help you use the products. But downloading the app and registering gives you the chance of winning a huge prize. Okay, for £780 worth of stuff could be yours just by downloading that app and registering and putting the details down. Sorry if I'm feeling a bit slow tonight. I have got the lurgy, not that one, just a basic cold. Caught it from a little girl, so the throat's a bit sore, but we're muddling through and we're okay. So it's not important in the big scheme of things, is it? So, right, let's crack on then. So loads of you that have the RXDs or might be interested in how they work, a few things people have said. We'll go right from the start. We will do programming if we have time. If not, I will just show you the features that you can have on the receiver while it's in use. So I'm assuming everybody can hear me okay. Somebody give me a thumbs up if everything's working, just so I know. I'm still using my new tech. I'm always a little bit worried that it's not working correctly, but we'll see how we get on. A few people have joined in. Lee Murphy, hi. Dave Dawson, hi. Matt Gale, hi. Don't forget, if you want to put any questions up there, pop them up. I'll answer as many as I can, and I'll answer them as honestly as I can as well. This is just about you guys. If you've got a question, then I will answer it for you. Okay, so yeah, we're there. Mark Battleday, hello. Who's Newstead? Steve Sinclair, Tom Choma, hello. Okay, so we're in, we're up and running. Right, hope you're enjoying these, by the way. I'm doing this off my back. I'm making it up as I go along. Hopefully it adds a little bit of sanity. It adds sanity to my world anyway. It gives me something to work towards every day at the moment. So obviously we're still answering all social media stuff that's coming through from you guys. So I'm answering all your Facebooks, Instagrams, Twitters, emails, whatever it is. Then that's going through. Just on that, guys, our spares shop returns is all closed at the moment, suspended. So don't send anything back. Don't place a shop order because you won't get it. It'll just be refunded. We've tried to shut those down, but for some reason some people have got some older links and they're being able to order from the shop, so we're having to refund it. There's nothing happening. Okay, so we're not able to supply web orders, spares, or do anything with the returns until further notice. If you have sent one back, okay, over the last week or so, it will be with us. You're just not processing it. So check with your courier or post office if you've got tracking on it to check that it arrives safe. It will be somewhere safe with us, but we're not processing it. Okay. If you just joined us, hello. We're going to go through the features on the RXD digital receiver, and hopefully this will give you a good understanding of how it works, all the features that are on it, and if we have time we'll do a bit of programming as well, just to give you guys the knowledge and a reference. All these will be on our feed, so you can always go back at any time. I'm tightening them up so that you can see what is relevant to you. Okay, let's get on with things then. I'm just gonna, that's me just turning it off. So I'm going to switch cameras because I've got fancy. Let's switch to camera 2. There we go. There's our RXD receiver. Okay, so I'm going to stop saying okay. I'm going to try and not keep saying it. So we've got 6 LEDs here. Okay, 6 LEDs for six channels. You don't have to match the LED colour of your alarm with the LED colour on the receiver. There are all of our 6 colours. You can have up to 4 LEDs in each channel, same as you can on the RX Plus Pro. That's not changed. So you've got multi-channel programming and single. I did show that yesterday, and the same is carried through on this. We call it pairing on this one, just to simplify it. You've got a rotary control. Let's do that. So you turn your volume up and down on there, and you've got 3 push buttons on the front. Can you see the 3 push buttons? There we go. So PB, try and do it in reverse. PB1, PB2, PB3. That's how they're labelled in the instructions. That's how they're labelled on our user guide, and so that you understand. So we go from left to right. Sorry if this sounds very, very basic, but sometimes it's the best way, just to keep it very, very simple. Hi, if you just joined us, we're going through the features on the RXD. If you have downloaded the app, then you'll be able to see the user guide, and this will help you sort of cross-reference that as well. So we're going on through it. To turn the receiver on, you hold down all 3 buttons and wait for the startup tone. So this is turning it on. So that's just turned on. All the lights flash, and it gives you that da-da. That's the anti-theft. Okay, when it programs, when you've programmed your receiver, or paired it, sorry, when you've paired your receiver and you turn it on, every time it will do that startup sequence, and that da-da, that's telling you that the anti-theft is active. So that's the, if I turn the alarm off, it sets off the alarm on the receiver. If I have the IMU set, which we did a video on the other day, then that sets that off. Okay, sets the alarm off. That is on as a default. Okay, that is for security reasons that we felt that having the anti-theft on all the time, or certainly as the default switch on, was the best way forward, just for security purposes. You can turn the anti-theft off, and that is by holding down push buttons 1 and push button 3, and I can do that now. That has deactivated the anti-theft. So now if somebody turns off your alarms or does the IMU, it won't give you that the alarm signal. Okay, that might be something you might want to do when you're setting up, or when you're setting the IMUs. You might want to deactivate the anti-theft for that period of time while you're switching alarms back off. But you can turn it off if it's no use to you. If you're not in an area where security is an issue, then you can turn that anti-theft off. And to turn it back on again, you just do the same thing. So push button 1, push button 3, and then that little da-da, that's told you that you've turned it back on again. So that is as simple as that. So that's your first basic function in there. And then, but if you do turn the anti-theft off, and I'll turn it off again. If you turn the receiver off and turn it back on again, anti-theft is back on again. So that is the default. So that's the first feature. Hopefully that makes sense. If everybody's following, let me just check that everybody is following this to make sure, and then we'll know where we're at. Okay, so everybody's still got that. the other thing you can change, this has vibro. I know most receivers have vibro, but we have vibro on ours as well, and vibro can be turned off. It also can be adjusted, and there are 3 levels of vibro. So adjusting or turning off the vibro is as simple as holding down PB2, so that's the middle button. If I hold that down, whoop, I've just turned it back on. It's because I was playing with it earlier, you see. So vibro is the only thing it remembers, and I'll come back to that. Okay, so turning vibro off. Okay, the lights go from right to left for off, left to right for when things come on, generally, and little confirmation tones. So now I've turned off the vibro. So now if I get a run, it will not vibrate. I can adjust the vibration, and now by turning the vibro off and then back on again, I can adjust the vibro so it vibrates once, twice, or 3 times. And that's just by holding down the push button on the front and keeping it held down as it cycles through the vibrations. 1, 2 and 3. You'll get a little confirmation beeps as well. So if I turn the vibro back on and keep the button held down, it will now start to, that's 1, 2, 3, and it will remember your setting. The vibro setting, apart from the pairing, is the only thing the receiver remembers. So all the other settings are all cancelled when you turn them back off. So there's another couple of settings that we're going to go through, and they will cancel as soon as you turn the receiver off. But when you change the vibro or you deactivate the vibro, that remembers. So I'll show you that again just to be clear. Okay, vibro is now on. Let's get it in the middle. And if I hold down the button there, press it, that has deactivated the vibro. If I want to turn it back on, I do that. Okay, and it goes back to the last setting I had. So I had it set on 3. It vibrated 3 times in my hand then. If I want to change it, I turn it off, I turn it back on, hold it down. Okay, so now I've set that on 2, so that will remember now and will vibrate, buzz twice in my pocket. Okay, so that is vibro, and hopefully that makes some sense, and you can see in the user guides that if you've downloaded the app, you'll see how that is explained just in the little pictures there, and that helps you go through it. If you just join us, hello, we're going through the functions on the RxD receiver. If you missed the beginning, we've just done anti-theft and we've just done vibro. You can go back and look at this later and be able to see what's what. We will be answering some more questions as well later, so if you've got any questions, I will scan through and pick out some and then answer at the end, or if I don't get through them today, I'll go tomorrow, or even I'll come back to you, privately, and help you out as much as I can during this quiet time, shall we say, or difficult times. Okay, so we've done anti-theft on off, we've done vibro. Now the next one will need me to turn on one of the alarms. I've got some alarms up here. Let's see if I can come out. Let's come back on the screen and just adjust it a little bit. Just bear with me, and you'll be able to see if I just do that up. Okay, so hopefully you can see. Let's just move my computer out of the way. There we go. So now you can see I've got some alarms and I've got the receiver. So if I turn the alarms on, okay, they're programmed in there. Turn this one on, and that's programmed in there as well. So I've got, I need a little tapping stick. Where's my tapping stick? Always like to use a little carbon upright. Oh, stretching down. So if I tap that one, okay, so we've got the red and the white one programmed in there. 2 unique features on our, or 2 features on this receiver. We've got something called run light, and we've got something called D&D, do not disturb. So do not disturb is a fantastic feature that we've added. It's something that you can use to great effect in extreme weather conditions. So the whole point is, shall I just come back to me for a second, just while we're just talking about that. So D&D, do not disturb. Okay, the idea of that is we've all been fishing and we've all had things set lovely, and a storm comes blowing in. You can see the dark clouds coming over. It's going to absolutely chuck it down, or it is absolutely chucking it down for 10-15 minutes. It's going to pass. You can see the sun behind. It's hailstones, everything's bouncing around and everything's going bip 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 bip. Okay, you don't want to go out and turn all your responses down on your alarms, because you can know it's going to pass. But what we do have now is a feature called D&D, which is an emergency setting which overcomes that extreme weather event. So I'll switch back to my second camera here, and you can see. So to set D&D, let's just tap the alert. So this is happening, okay? So things are going off. We're getting beep, beep, beep as things are hitting the line, okay? During the heavy shower or hailstones. Okay, if I set D&D, which is by holding down push button 2 and push button 3. Okay, that is now set. It does that blankety blank, blankety blank, and it goes into D&D. So now what happens is it will miss those single pulses as the rain's hitting the line. But if I get anything that goes on for longer than 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, you see it kicks in. That was a pretty good demonstration. So all that tap tap tapping of the line is being missed until you get an activation of 4 seconds or more. So effectively a run, something you're going to need to go out and do something about. And then what happens is that will time out after 15 minutes, or you just turn it off once the shower's passed, and that's a case of just holding down the buttons again that you just pressed. So push button 2, push button 3, just hold them down, and that deactivates the D&D, and now we're back to normal. There you go, look, I just bumped the desk. So everything's back to normal. So that is really useful when that extreme weather. Okay, if the bad weather is set in, let's come back to me. If the bad weather's set in for a period and everything's bouncing around continuously and you're getting false bleeps all over the place, you're going to need to turn your responses down on your alarms. Okay, it's not an excuse for not having the alarm set correctly. That's not what it's for. It's for you had everything set right, and then there was a sudden change in the weather that was for a short period, and then it's going to pass, and everything's going to go back to normal again. So suddenly it's blowing a hoolie, the hailstone's coming down, it's April, that we're not going to be able to go fishing in, but you know what I mean. And showers come and they go, and that's what that is for. And that is a really useful little feature. You can, and I'll switch back to it. There we go. You can lock D&D on permanently. Okay, now this is to be used with extreme caution. It is there, but this has to be used with a bit of common sense and not stupidity. So we lock it on. Okay, so you can lock it on. So if I hold down push button 1, push button 3, and I hold it down, okay, that's engaged. If I keep holding it down, there you go, that's just did that little flash and a pip, and now D&D is locked on permanently. Okay, now this would be for a situation that maybe you're bivvying up for the night, you're fishing in the middle of the lake, and you just don't want to be disturbed. You want to know when there's a run. You don't want to keep getting bip bip bip, little twitches or whatever. Maybe you're getting pestered by crayfish or bream or something like that, and you just want to know when you've got a proper run. If you are fishing by snags, never ever use D&D lock. Okay, if I was fishing by a snag, I probably wouldn't necessarily use D&D, or I would use it with extreme caution if I was sat by my rods watching my bobbins, because even if the even if the rain is chucking it down, those sort of situations, you've got to use a bit of common sense. You do not want to get fish snagged up. But if you're fishing in open water and you've got, it's going to take you longer than 4 seconds to get your boots on and get out there and have it, get out to it anyway. So D&D lock is possible, but used with extreme caution. And to turn it off, it's exactly the same as to turn it on. That's turned that off. So that's D&D, and that's really a useful feature on the RxD receiver. So that should be okay. And let's just come back to me. All right, let's see what you guys have got to say so far. Hopefully it's all working. Should all the buttons be pressed in the same manner? So Matt Bird, should all the buttons pressed in the same manner as my push button 3 seems a bit stiffer? If it's still pressable and everything's working okay, then there might be a slight variation in the button press, but it should feel a nice solid press. There are little micro switches in there, so you should be able to feel something solid. If it's anything worse than that, Matt, and it's actually not functioning correctly, then it might be worth getting it back to us and having a look. But certainly check how free it is, whether there's a little bit of dirt in there or something, if everything's okay. Richard Hill, hi, how we doing, mate? Hope you are well. A few people in doing this. Who else? What else? Any more questions? Let's have a quick scan up. Got TXI at 2 years old. Do the new bobbins that work with the TXID work on them? Yes, Steve Sinclair. Something just intermingling. Sorry, interspersing with something. Hello, Nathan. Stuart, how you doing? All our visual indication systems. All our visual indication systems work with the plus range and the new digital range. If it has a socket in the bottom, this is the one I'm talking about. Okay, whether it's a one with a blue with a coloured ring round it, or in the plus range it was just the socket itself, then you can use a visual indication system, new or old, whether it's a night light indication set, whether it's a slim light indication set, an ES indication set, or a night light pro. They are all interchangeable, they will all work. Okay, get asked that a lot. There is no specific one for each range of alarms. They all work. That was one of the things we wanted, is that, you know, people didn't have to then just change all their hangers as well, because we know they're expensive, and we tried to make sure that they were usable. Okay, so hope that clears it up. One last feature then on the RxD, and well, actually two. Okay, I'll just do you quickly one other small feature. So if I hit that, okay, I've just had an activation, and after 20 seconds or so, then that LED will go out and we have a last activation recall button, and that is just by holding push button 3 on its own. It will bring back whichever alarm went off first, last, sorry, whichever alarm went off last. You can tell I'm suffering a bit today. So push button 3, hold that down, there you go, and it just holds on. So that's the last activation. So that goes on that one. So that's a little simple feature. And the other big feature that we have on this is called Run Light, and this is something we added to the receiver. So this is a feature that adds emergency lighting in your bivvy. So if I get a run, so I can turn run light on. Let's just show you by holding down push button 1 and push button 2 till I get the confirmation tone. There you go, all the lights light up, and now that is set. So now if I get a run, after 4 seconds all the LEDs will light up. Can you see that? All the LEDs will light up. So now this gives you emergency illumination in your bivvy to get out your bed chair, get out your sleeping bag, put your boots on, and go out and land the fish. It's not, you know, it's not to read. It's not a bivvy light. It's not there to read a book by. If you want a head torch, then you have a head torch. But it is emergency lighting. So, and of course, with all them on, it really does light up the bivvy. If you had it, you know, if you knew you'd set it, put it above your head, and then it will light up the bivvy. So again, it has a feature on it sort of that ignores single pulses, so it won't come on. I said that I had more activation there, so it comes on once you get a consecutive amount of pulses. So single pulses it will ignore, but if you get something that goes on for 4 seconds or more, then it will come on. So if I tap that again now, There you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was a regular pulse coming through. So a slow run, and then that came on. So that is run light. So it does use up more battery. Obviously, it's on there, but you're not going to use it all day. Don't have it on all day, all night, because you will knock your battery out. Depending on how many runs you get. But it's there for emergency lighting in your bivvy when you are there at night. You can, if you want to, have D&D on as well with run light. So if you didn't want to get disturbed but want everything to come on when you get a full-blown run, so I can just activate D&D. So that's push button 2, push button 3. Okay, so now that is activated. So now I'm getting the benefit of D&D, but if I get something that keeps going, right, and when it kicks in, there you go. So now I've got run light as well. So that's up to you. That's that. If you're in the open water in the middle of the night and you want to have a good night's kip, or you don't want to get woken up by little bits, you can have D&D on. You can lock that on if you want to and run it with run light. But generally I would keep those two separated, but they are there if you want. And I think that has about covered all those features. Let's have a look. That's pretty much everything on that receiver in terms, but we haven't done pairing, but that's a bit more of a long-winded, well, not long-winded, but it's something to go through. Hopefully that makes some sense. Let's have a look. So Tim, Kartmaster, Taggle, or Taggle, sorry. Can I send my txi-d receiver off to you so I don't have the flashing every 2 minutes? The answer is yes. We have what's called a power on indicator, and that's something we put on there because we didn't have any way of knowing, because it's push button on off, we had no way of knowing it's physically on. So we have a power on indicator where the LED will flash ever so gently and blink every 2 minutes, just to let you know and reassure you that it's on and everything's working. That is switchable on any receiver you buy today. We added that to make it switchable, just because people did suggest that it wasn't necessarily something they wanted. We thought it would be a useful feature, so we've made it so that people can now switch it on or off. It's up to them. If you've got one of the first receivers made, then that feature is not switchable, but we will update it for free for you, so you can have that. That's the only thing. It's just there's no other performance enhancement or anything like that. It's just purely we've just made it a bit better and gave people the option by adding a switchable function on that, and that is something that we can update for you if you return it to us once we get back up and running, and we can give you that, and then you can just switch off if you don't like it. Some people like that reassurance, some people don't. Okay. I asked a while ago, so this is Tom Cotton. I asked a while ago whether you were making Delkim butt grips that would fit on the D-lok. Butt grips, we'll leave that to the experts, I think. We did look at it once, but it's just a minefield. There's so many out there, so many variations. It's just not something that we're comfortable with making one that would be useful to people. So, you know, Delkim's philosophy: if we can't make it any better, then why bother? And it was something that we looked at. Could we do something that was useful? Obviously, you said about it connecting to the D-lok base. Yeah, that was straight away what we thought. Could we do something with that? But we couldn't. Not at this time. So we have passed on that. There are loads of stuff that we look at that never sees the light of day. All sorts of little bits and pieces. Obviously, our development is ever ongoing. So yeah, there's bits and pieces that we look at and dismiss. So let's have a look at that. Dave Whitaker. We'll answer a few more questions before we go. I've got a little bit of time. Don't want to bore everybody, but we'll give a little bit of time before the end. I've heard that power pack should be kept away from the receiver. Is this correct? I mentioned this last night. I talked about this with the old style receiver that we were doing. Yes. power packs. Any power pack will have an effect on radio, not just any radio receiver. It will have an effect on, and therefore it's good practice just to keep them, and it does say in our instructions, just half a meter. Just keep them slightly away because they emit electromagnetic radiation, a bit like your laptop or a DVD player or something that's got a reasonably sized power source. Then they will have a slight effect on the radio. So don't sit your receivers on top of your power packs neatly on your bivvy tables as people do, because it's nice. We'd definitely advise just to keep them either side, half a meter. What's that? You know, 50. I'm going to get my ruler out, but you know, that far, something like that. Obviously further the better, but generally half a meter should be all that is necessary. Alright, so Dave Whittacote, that answers your question. Anything else I can answer while I'm here? That's about it. Well, you are quiet tonight in terms of asking questions. Hopefully you guys have learnt something today. I can go through pairing if you want me to. I'm not going to do that today, but I can go through pairing. The one thing I will show you before I go on the receiver, which is something that really people do need to know and they have missed a few times. Okay, and I'll zoom in on the receiver. Hopefully I can do that. There we go. Okay, one thing people are missing, and let's just finish on this, is if you make a mistake in pairing your alarms, or you buy an extra alarm, or you whatever you want to add or change the order, or you know, just want to do something different with the pairing, you have to clear the memory of the receiver first and then start pairing again. That's the only way you can do it. You can't add to it and the others will stay in the memory. You have to clear the memory and start again. So I'm going to show you mem clear, which is section 4.5 of the instructions, or on the video if you want to refer it back to the video, but I'll show you it now, and it should be it's very simple. So turn the receiver off. So hold down all the buttons to turn the receiver off. Oh, getting wiggly in my old age. Okay, the receiver is off. Okay, you want to turn the receiver on with all the buttons held down, and then wait for 2 pips, and then you'll let go of push button 1 and 2 and keep the third one held down. And keep it held down till the receiver switches itself off. It does a number of flashes and beeps, but keep it held down till it turns itself off, then you'll find the memory is clear. Okay, so we're going to turn the receiver on, holding down all 3 buttons. Wait for 2 pips. Let go. I'm holding that down. Okay, the receiver has turned itself off, and that has wiped the memory of the receiver. If I turn the receiver back on, there you go. That is in pairing mode. So that's how it should come out the box. If you buy a receiver, if anybody's bought a receiver and struggling to pair it, or you ever do go and buy one and you doesn't come out the box with that, it comes out the box, you turn it on and it does the anti-theft noise and at startup. That means probably somebody in the shop's played with it, programmed an alarm in just to show a customer or something, and it's been paired. So you need to, every time you turn it on, it should come out with that purple LED flashing. And if I leave that flashing now for long enough, it will turn itself off, because it will say, oh, I'm in pairing mode, nobody's here, nobody's pairing me. That's it. It will, you know, when you first connect the battery, it will go into pairing mode. If you turn it on and you haven't paired it, there you go, that's just timed itself out and shut itself down. So that's a good point to finish, I think, because we can go to pairing tomorrow if you want, and I can go through that if people have trouble, or whatever else you want. Okay, so I thank you for your company tonight. Hope it has been useful. Don't forget to download that app. Then you'll have some idea. If you're looking at the quick guides, you'll see how those push buttons controls that I've just been showing you relate to the quick guides. Now, the quick guides are there to help you once you've read the instructions. You need to see how the product works, watch the videos, then the quick guides are there. It is simple. There's only a few features on there. You know, once you've, you know, if you like the run light or you like the DND, those are the 2 things you're going to use most often. Once you set vibro on or off, that's entirely up to you. So download that app, register, get that competition on the go, win yourself something, cheer yourself up. I'm going to go and have probably a hot toddy, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Let me know what you want to know about. I'll keep answering the questions as best you can. stay at home, stay safe, stay strong, and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers, guys.